everyone's trying to sell you and more time selling yourself on what you know you need to do. So the reason why this topic is actually pretty important, and it's an important one to me, is because so many of us get caught up in all these new fancy ideas and lead systems and ways to add this many more contacts and ways to get this person's data and ways to implement this system which will add to your bottom line. And the reality is people spend way too much time buying what everyone's trying to sell them versus just spending time selling yourself on what you know you need to do, which I will talk about that in a moment. So it's very easy today, especially with the likes of Facebook and all the Facebook groups that are out there today. Oh yeah, try this. Has anyone tried this? Oh, what CMA is the best? This CMA works. Oh, I tried this CMA. This CMA or this CRM, sorry. This CRM didn't do it for me. Has anybody tried this CRM? And every 3-6 months we're changing up what we're trying. And the reality is we need to stop trying things and start focusing on just one thing, which we'll talk about that in a second. So today's topic, spend less time buying what everyone is trying to sell you and more time selling yourself on what you know you need to do. Before I get into it, I want to remind everyone, if you haven't, two things. Number one, I did a video on the predictions, disruptions, and solutions to 2020. That video is the exact, I would say, foundation for our plan next year. When I say our plan at our real estate team, Jeff Glover and Associates, what we're aware of, what is changing, and what we're going to focus on. So that specific plan, or that video, I went into some details on what we're going to implement into our business next year. So there's definitely things that we're already doing, and there's definitely new things that we need to add or implement. So go back and watch it. If you want to find that video, you just Google search Jeff Glover predictions. If you Google search Jeff Glover predictions, you'll find that video. There's two of them. I did one when I was down in Florida. There was like a windstorm going on at the time, so don't watch that one. Watch one. You'll see I'm at my office. I'm in the conference room there. So again, if you just Google search Jeff Glover predictions, it'll come up. And it's called Predictions, Disruptions, and Solutions to Our Business in 2020, because we're anticipating some serious disruptions taking place, and I made some bold predictions. So go back and watch that. That'll give you some insight into what you need to focus on and think about for next year. Also, I know a lot of you have bought your tickets for the summit already. I want to remind you, if you haven't already, book your flights. Flights are still $200. We had a meeting this morning, and most major cities, flights to Orlando, January 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, are still under $200. So I know a lot of you bought tickets to the summit, which is great. We appreciate that. We plan on having close to 1,000 agents there from all over the country. So thank you for buying tickets, but go book your flights, because the flights are still cheap. They're under $200 for most major cities. Most people are flying in Sunday the 5th, maybe in the morning or in the afternoon, and then of course going home Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night. So if you haven't had a chance yet, if you need the dates again, I'm not going to sell you on coming to the summit, but just go visit liveunrealsummit.com, LIVEUNREAL summit.com. Go visit that. You got all the dates. Go get your tickets and book your flights while they're still cheap. Okay, so let's talk about the topic today. Spend less time buying what everyone's trying to sell you and more time selling yourself on what you know you need to do. All right, so you've heard this saying before in this industry, shiny object syndrome. It's very easy in this industry today because of Facebook groups and everyone promoting stuff about this worked for me. Gotta try this, gotta try this new cool thing. And so, oh yeah, let's go get that lead source. The reality is, whenever we make a decision to add a lead source, I want you to pay close attention to this. When you make a decision to add a lead source, plan on that expense for 6 to 12 months with zero return. Okay, the mistake a lot of agents make is they decide on a lead source, or they decide on a new fancy CRM, or they decide on buying Zillow leads, and they only have the budget for maybe a month or two, and their thought process is, well, as long as it works in the first month, then I'll have the income, because I'll have a check, or I'll have revenue checks to pay for that source of business, or to pay for that service, or to pay for that technology. And the reality is, anytime we make a decision at Jeff Glover and Associates to add an additional source of business or add a technology tool or piece to make our life a little easier, we plan on a minimum of 6 months to a maximum of 12 months of investment without seeing a return. So I would encourage you, when you make the decision to try a new source of business or try a new lead source, 6 to 12 months minimum for your expense, before you see a return. All right? I wrote down doing the work. You've heard us say this before. Doing the work is the shortcut. Right? There isn't this whole idea that we can go download this system, we can go download this CRM, we can go buy these scripts, has led us to be an industry where everyone thinks that paying for things is the solution. Well, if we just go and add this, and this is going to fix our problem. The reality is, if you spend more time on yourself and what you know you need to do, that is actually what solves the problem long term. So stop with this quick and easy fixes. Stop with these, let's try this, and if it doesn't work in 30 days, we'll go try that. See, that's the problem with most agents. They sprinkle too much. They put a little bit here, they put a little bit there. They're spending too much of their time and energy testing out systems and trying different sources versus just picking one and owning it, right? I wrote down, quit chasing all that stuff. It just slows you down. Think about all the time you spend researching and identifying and asking people, how has this worked for you, and what has this done with your results? No, just spend more time working on yourself. Spend more time selling yourself on what you know you need to do versus less time buying what everyone's trying to sell you. Speaking of buying what everyone's trying to sell you, in a lot of these Facebook groups, people are paid to say positive things about stuff. People are paid money to go in and say, yes, this worked for me, this was successful, you need to come to this. So you understand that most people are being compensated to say those things. So don't buy what everyone's trying to sell you, and instead spend more time selling yourself on what you know you need to do. All right, so what are some things that you know you need to do? I wrote down 5 things this time of year when we talk about, okay, Jeff, when you say spend more time selling myself on what I need to do, what are those things? I wrote down 5 of them. Number one, your time management skills. This not just this time of year, but at all times. How much time are you spending looking at how effective you are with your time? I mean, think about that for a second. When is the last time you looked at your time and determined how effective you are? For a lot of agents, what I tell them to do is go back and look at their calendars in 2019, okay? From January 1 till 10/26, okay, today's date. I want you to look at and see how productive you actually were. I want you to go in and put a plus sign next to every activity that improves your ROI, next to every activity that improves the income to you, whether it's lead generation, whether it's prospecting, whether it's going on appointments, whether it's presenting, whether it's getting price reductions. Those are all things that improve your average dollar per hour. You put a plus sign next to them. Everything that takes away from your average dollar per hour, you put a minus sign. This is an activity that you should do every year when it comes to looking at your business plan, and that's this time of year, right? Plus sign next to every activity that increased my average dollar per hour, and a minus sign next to every activity that decreased my average dollar per hour. Then I can go in and say, okay, how effective am I at managing my time? If you have, well, what are some minus signs, okay? Doing paperwork is obviously a minus sign. Submitting a listing is a minus sign. I would argue showing homes is actually a minus sign. Well, why is that? Because you can pay someone less money when you actually figure out your dollar per hour. You can pay someone less money than your dollar per hour that you would spend showing homes. So I would actually argue that showing homes actually takes away from our average dollar per hour. So spend more time on your time management skills, less time buying what everyone's trying to sell you. That's number one. Number two, I want you to put a personal development plan together for yourself. It includes health, it includes wealth, it includes fitness, and also one that a lot of people forget, exposure. Okay, this is a big one for me. You've heard me say this a lot. I honestly believe that exposure is one of the biggest differences between people that are very successful and people that are just semi-successful. And what I mean by that is exposure to people that are outside of the norm. Exposure to people that are outside of your box. Exposure to people that are outside of your group of friends. Exposure to other people that you don't necessarily spend a lot of time with. Getting outside of your normal routine and getting exposure to people that are doing great things will cause you to be in a position to be more productive personally and more effective. It's the same reason why I go to so many events, right? When you see our agents going to different events, whether it's speakers, trainers, Keller Williams events, whatever company you're with, exposure to those types of events is what causes you to think differently, think bigger, right? So what is your personal development plan? Revolving specifically health, wealth, fitness, and exposure. That's often forgotten. How much exposure? How many events do you have planned next year? Now, don't be a conference junkie. Don't be the person that goes to 15 to 20 events a year and never gets anything done. All right, don't be one of those, but at least make it to 3 or 4 main events to where you can get exposure to different ideas and different people that are doing things differently than you. Of course, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't take that opportunity to mention coming to our summit is one of them in Orlando, right? LiveUnrealSummit.com. That is perfect exposure to putting you in a position to be around people that you're not normally around, to hear ideas that you don't normally hear. Exposure is crucial, and make sure it's part of your plan next year. That's number 2, your personal development plan. Number 3, when I talk about spending more time on selling yourself on what you know you need to do, what do your sales skills look like? I wrote down phone and face-to-face. How are your phone sales skills, and how is your face-to-face presentation skills? All right, that's something that you should spend time on. You're going to be more productive spending time on your phone and your in-person sales skills than you will buying Zillow leads or buying another CRM. Stop spending all the time buying what everyone's trying to sell you and more time on building yourself. Sales skills is number 3. Number 4, I wrote down, what are your daily disciplines? When's the last time you spent time on being disciplined? Well, what does that mean? Well, being disciplined with everything you know you need to do each day. What is your discipline on a scale from 1 to 10? Spend more time on your discipline and less time buying what everyone's trying to sell you. And finally, number 5, especially this time of year, spend more time on your business planning. You know, one thing I love about October, November, specifically November, December, is I have already written out. I know what days between now and the end of the year I'm spending with our associates, and I know what days that I'm spending with our leadership team to put our business plan together. We're going to be doing associate business plans, and we're going to be doing company business plans. It's already scheduled out. You know, a lot of times we do them on Saturdays when it's quiet. I recommend you doing them on the weekend when it's quiet. But the reality is this needs to be scheduled out. So spend more time buying on what everyone's trying to sell you and more time selling yourself on what you need to do, which is putting your business plan together now. Why would you wait until January 1st? You understand, in this business, everything is 60 to 90 day cycle. Your business plan should be done by November, December, at the very latest December the 1st, because once you start working in December, it's going to show up in your results in January, February. If you wait to start your plan on January 1st, well then guess what happens? Your results don't show up until February or March. And if they don't show up till February, March, you're working with a 10-month year when everyone else has a 12-month year. So spend less time buying what everyone's trying to sell you, more time selling yourself on what you need to know to do right now, which business planning rounds out our top 5. And there's no better time to do your business plan than getting it done November, December. Plan it out. It should be scheduled out. So we have the 5 things that I want you working on right now. Okay, your time management skills, your personal development plan for 2020, your sales skills, your daily disciplines required, and your business planning. All right, spend more time in those areas and less time trying things out and investigating this, and what about this lead source, and what about that technology, and what about this system. Quit bouncing around, quit sprinkling around. Pick one thing and own it. Work on those 5. Go visit liveunrealsummit.com to get your registration before prices go up, and go book your flight. Flights are still under $200. All right, last but not least, go back and watch Predictions, Disruptions, and Solutions. I put a lot of thought and a lot of energy into that video, and I will tell you the solutions are the foundation of our business next year. So I'm giving you the playbook. I'm giving you the secrets to what you need to do in 2020 to not only stay relevant, but to continue to thrive. So just Google search Jeff Glover Predictions. Click on videos. It'll be the first one that pops up. Just make sure you watch the one that looks like it was done in an office and not the one that it was done down in Florida because the wind noise and all that. Joining me this Monday on Halloween week. If you just chimed in or you just signed in, go back and watch it from the start. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.